Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Audience with the Community, with our community. The aim of tonight's event is just to speak to various organisations within the community to see the work that they're doing and how it impacts the community, and also how we can support them within their work in the community. I'd like to introduce our co-hosts, Adam, Vanessa, and Jonas. So first, and also just to speak about a little bit about their journey within the 100 Black Men of London and how it's impacted them. Adam?
Hello, my name is Adam Stewart. I'm one of the peer mentors at the 100 Black Men of London. For me, the 100 Black Men has definitely been a backbone, especially in my career within both education and outside of education. I believe that they've helped me a lot with my self-confidence, and we've done workshop on self-image and public speaking as a whole. I definitely feel like the 100 Black Men has definitely helped me grow in that sense and learn a bit more about my background, where it is that I've come from, and how I can actually aid other young people to do the same thing.
Vanessa?
Hi everyone, my name is Vanessa. I'm 19 years old and I'm currently a student at the University of Cambridge studying history. I've been on the 100 Black Men of London for the last 10 years now, and it's taught me life skills such as effective communication, self-identity, and money management. Oh, I'm just fixing my sound.
Jonas?
Hi everyone, my name is Jonas Andrew Flepp. I'm a 19-year-old public speaker, workshop facilitator, and event host. And the 100, I started with the 100 Black Men of London towards the end of 2016. And at that point, I was getting in trouble a lot at school and stuff really wasn't going well for me academically. However, in the 100, I was given what I didn't have, which was support. I was given advice on things and really seeing Black men being positive and not really how they show in the media, on the news and stuff like that, but in a different way where they have businesses, they're doing great jobs, all this kind of stuff, which you don't usually see. And I wasn't the person, regardless, to not see a Black person in a role and think, oh, I can't do it because there isn't a Black person. I've always had the mentality of, I'll do it regardless. I can still do it. It doesn't matter. I'll just be the first one to do it. But it really did help me with my confidence and help me understand that they may portray me like a bad kid at school and outside of school, but really I'm not a bad kid. Really, I just need the right guidance and I'll do well in life. And that's what's happened so far, which I'm grateful for.
Apologies for my sound technical difficulties over here. Just to go again, my name is Vanessa Craval. I'm 19 years old and I'm currently a student at University of Cambridge studying history. I've been with the 100 Black Men for the last 10 years and I've been through the program as a mentee and come back as a mentor to give back to my community. I think the 100 Black Men for me has helped me with my confidence and taught me life skills such as effective communication, self-identity, money management. And I feel like it's a wonderful organization to help aid young children and young people in their development, especially through their formative years in secondary school and leading on to further education.
Oh, thank you, guys. For me, the 100 has just been an introduction into the Black community in a way that I hadn't seen it before, in terms of being surrounded by successful Black people and especially successful Black men who give you lots of guidance and share their wisdom throughout their lives. And it's helped me become more confident and gain skills in public speaking and mentoring, which have been an absolute pleasure. At the moment, the 100 is running a crowdfunding campaign to ensure that every Black child that needs a mentor has access to one. And to do that, they're trying to raise funds for their own building in order to train mentors and to facilitate sessions. And so if you guys could help out with that, that would be amazing. Our first guest tonight is The Voice newspaper. And so I'm going to hand over to Jonas and Vanessa for this one.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
How are you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, everything's good.
Oh, I can't hear Jonas.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute on my computer.
There we go. Hi, Jonas. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you, Paula?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share this platform with you, and thanks for having me tonight. Really looking forward to chatting with you.
Yes.
Oh, I can't hear you, Van. I think you're on mute.
Sorry, technical difficulties today.
It's okay. It's okay.
Obviously, the Voice newspaper was founded in 1982, so it's been going on for almost 40 years now. Congratulations to the Voice. That's an amazing achievement. So my first question is, in those 40 years, how do you think the Voice newspaper has impacted the community?
Yes, so thanks again for that. So first, let me congratulate 100 Black Men and all that you have done and continue to do for the community. Amazing work, and we've been following your story for some time. So as you rightly say, actually we celebrate 40 years next year, August, born in 1982. And the Voice has really made an impact in several ways that we hope. One, we've been able to tell our own stories, the story of the Black community from that time. And the Voice was born out of unrest, much like what's going on now, unrest and just unease with what's gone on in the community. And we were able to tell and report on stories that meant something to the Black community. Being 100% Black owned, we were able to tell our own story and not be worried about what other people thought. So it was authentic, it was our own narrative, and we were able to control that. And so the impact we've had over the years is we've been able to campaign on issues that matter to the community, racial justice, Black businesses. We've been able to support very small community organisations such as yourself with getting coverage, because as you know, you won't get the coverage necessarily in mainstream media. So we've been there to give persons like yourself, inspirational persons, coverage over the years on what they're doing. There have been some phenomenal stories of communities that have overachieved, and we've been there to tell their story. I think the impact that we've had also is we've been able to create a really rich history of news. So you can imagine having an archive of 39 years worth of stories from the communities all over England. It's created a rich knowledge base for the community in terms of where we're coming from and hopefully where we're going. But I think the biggest thing for us is being able to celebrate Black excellence and being able to put Black faces on the front of the paper every single day, showing how well the community has been doing. And hopefully that has really helped persons like yourself and other organisations to just shine, to just have their own space.
Yeah, amazing. And just to ask quickly, will there potentially be any coverage for our 20th birthday and our vision to purchase a community building, as that's our goal, as in especially
Of course. So I will commit right now. We'll do a write-up for you. We've got our next issue coming out. The paper comes out every month now. So I will absolutely hold the space for you to do that. And please send me some stuff online as well, and we'll give you the coverage. 100%.
Thank you, Paula.
No worries.
A little quick plug there. We love to see it.
No harm in that.
Why do you think it's important to have a Black British newspaper? With like the rise of social media and things like that, why do you think it's so important?
Yeah, great question. So it's important for two reasons. As I said, one, we're 100% Black owned. So formed by a Black man, always been Black owned and Black led.
Yeah.
And being the only national newspaper that has that kind of credibility allows us again to really tell our own narrative. Now, we do understand that social media and other mainstream media outlets are really gaining traction in race and those issues, but we still feel we are relevant.
Yeah.
And we need to tell the story from the voice of our community, and that's sometimes what's missing from other outlets. And I think what we've been able to do is shine a light on, as I said, really go to the heart of the issue and really give a voice to the person that would never really have gotten any coverage at all. Our relevance, I think, still remains. Obviously, we want to continue to grow, and we know we have definitely room for improvement in certain areas. But in terms of a platform to recognise what the Black issues are and to give a voice to the community, it's been critical. And I'll give you an example. When COVID started last year and the government was having the press briefings, you know, they invited the press over to ask questions. We were the only Black paper there. We were able to ask questions on behalf of the Black community. Why is COVID affecting us so much? So again, having the voice of the Black community through a paper is important in those scenarios to make sure that we are at the table, trying to make change, trying to influence change, and having our own space. Because if we weren't there, who would represent us? So that's the question that we keep asking ourselves. So we do need to be at the table in all sectors and make sure that we bring forward the agenda of the Black community at all times.
100%, 100%. And the people don't understand the name, the voice for a newspaper is actually really, really powerful. And what I really want to ask you is there, what was the reason that it was called The Voice? Is it to give Black people voice? There could be various reasons. So
no, exactly that, Jonas, to give the Black community a voice. So when The Voice started, so Val McCullough, who started The Voice in 1982, which actually was 39 years ago, but it was a time of real civil unrest. So now this weekend, we are commemorating the Brixton uprisings that happened at that time. So if you were to go back into that time and you were to talk to the average Black person in London where it started, nobody was speaking to them. Nobody was reporting on what mattered to them, and nobody wanted to hear how the Black community was feeling. So here comes The Voice to give the community exactly that, a voice to share, to report, to affect, to impact, all the change that was needed at that time.
In terms of having a responsibility to represent the Black community, do you think it's difficult being one of the only Black British newspapers to voice every Black person's opinion, or to kind of reach every kind of Black person? Because obviously there's not just race that is involved in it, there's class and different background differences. So how have you found that, and do you think it's a challenge?
Yes, definitely a challenge, Vanessa. Definitely a challenge. As one of the key challenges we face, I think, in terms of our reach and ensuring that we do represent every Black British voice that is out there. And interesting you should say that. What we try and do now is just reach out to the regions a lot more. So not just London-based, so West Midlands, Scotland, Wales, to try and understand what's going on in those communities as well. Because as you say, we sometimes assume that we all think the same, but actually there's so many different opinions and comments and things that are going on. So yes, it is a challenge. I think we've done pretty well over the years. There's much more we can do, but what we're trying to do now is collaborate, and partnerships and collaboration and allies are really important. And actually we're working on a project right now that will help us do just that, because we recognize we can't do it alone. We have a lot to cover. And so we rely on organizations such as yourself to give us these platforms, to share on social media, and really just expand the stories into different spaces and different regions, different channels. So yes, it's a challenge, but I think collaboration and partnership and allyship is the way forward.
Yeah, so just touching on what you said there about partnerships and stuff, do you personally feel that in the Black community we kind of have a scarcity mentality and we don't have an abundant mentality? Because it seems that sometimes we're competing with each other, but we're not looking to collaborate. But we all know that being independent, yes, is vital, but being interdependent will take you to the next level. So what is your perspective on that?
I completely agree. I think we need to be better at collaboration. You're right, Jonas. I think we have at times compete with each other. And I've seen a proliferation of different channels and black media organizations doing great work. I think, if we all came together, really came together and pooled our resources and pooled all our talents and expertise, how powerful would that be? And I always look at other communities, for example, the Jewish community, and how they've managed to manipulate and organize themselves in a way that is so, it's a really tight-knit community.
Yeah.
And I do feel that we have some way to go in getting to be really collaborative. We're getting there, but I think we can do more. And this is where we are trying to reach out to organizations to say, we're not going to compete with you. We're going to share, we'll share what you're doing, or we can support what you're doing, because we're trying to do the same thing. So we have some way to go. But I think the abundance of expertise and talent is undeniable. But yes, I would like to see more collaboration. I'd like to see organizations coming together with us and come and say, let's come to the table, let's do something together as a team, as kind of for one purpose. That would be fantastic and really impactful. Yeah.
Just leading on from that question, what would your hope for the future of Black British journalism and media be in terms of going forward?
Wow, yeah, that's a great question, and so many hopes, Vanessa. I think that one of the key ones for us personally at The Voice is that we can pass on the legacy of The Voice to your generation. Right? It's really important to us to do that, whether in its print form or online form, but we must continue this legacy. Second, we know that journalists, Black journalists in particular, are, I think 4% of all newsrooms at the moment, and it's just not good enough. So what we want to see, and we're seeing more, we want to see more Black media professionals across journalism industry and publishing industry. We want to see them at the head of the table, making the decisions and influencing that change. It is happening slowly. And when you look at people like Nadine White, who is doing amazingly well, and Charlene White and many other people really, really honing their skills, it's really refreshing. But the vision is that we can do more, be more, because gosh, we've got the talent. So I think we've got quite a way to go, but then that will only come again if we push each other, continue to be impactful with what we're doing, continue to collaborate, and show that we're a force to be reckoned with. And I think it comes as collective action is always better. And supporting each other is always going to be better, and people will know that when we come together we can do that. So the vision is a big one, but I have no fear that we will reach it, hopefully very soon.
Fingers crossed. There we go. I have another question in terms of connecting with the younger generations. What are you doing, or what can we do as a community to kind of push it and, as you said, pass on the legacy of the Voice newspaper?
Yeah, so a couple of things. I mean, from our perspective, we've been doing a number of things. Well, without COVID, we organised this event called Made by History, which is actually a school writing competition that we've been doing for about 4 years. And we engage with all the schools across the UK and get all the kids to write about Black history. And that's been an annual event. And we try and just build the awareness of Black history and the importance of Black history. So that's one way. We do events. I think more importantly, what I would say is I would love for young people to get to know stories of The Voice and the archives and the legacy of what's gone on, because there's some really rich knowledge there. But I think more important than that, what I would like to see is the sharing of what's happening. So we try to report on issues, and not just issues, but report on real stories in the community. Yeah. And there are some fantastic things going on. I'd like to see people sharing that, following us, and just being able to see, what, do you know about that community in Wales that's doing this great stuff, and how can we support them? And just connecting the dots sometimes on what's going on, because there's an awful lot of great work happening. Just like yourself, sometimes you are doing great work in London, but then how many people in Scotland will know that you're doing that work in London? So it's about connecting those dots, and as you say, just networking and joining the dots up. I think sharing the stories is great. I think using the paper as a knowledge base is great. But as I said, more importantly, collaboration's got to be key, and joining the dots, connecting and doing things together has to be the way forward.
Thank you so much, Paula. And we're going to pass it over to Jonas.
Great.
Yes, so thank you, Paula. I've actually got even more questions that I want to ask you, so I'm going to do this after this call. However, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you, Vanessa, as well. So
thank you so much.
Thank you. So now we're going to bring up Amionette and the legendary 1,000 Black Boys to the live stream and to the event now. Cool. How you doing, King? How you doing, King?
Yourself? How you doing? It's kind of fixing.
I'm good. Good to see you again.
Likewise. Hi there. How are you doing? You right?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Well, thank you.
So just to get started, if you could just tell us a little bit about who you are and what your organization does within the community.
Yeah, sure. So name is Ademola Adiaba. So from Yoruba, Nigeria. The names kind of give it away. So the organization today is 1,000 Black Boys. So for us, we are literally about having young Black men and young Black boys completely unleash their potential and live a life of purpose. And this started for me, we launched officially December 2018. And literally that year, there was so much news about things that were negative and things that weren't working. And we also saw so many organizations that were trying to tackle the problems, trying to tackle knife crime by dealing with the symptoms. And for us, it was really clear, hold on a minute, we want to deal with the source of this. We want to deal with the cause. And we're really clear that if we have more young Black boys, young Black men get who they are and fulfill purpose, then those kind of things will disappear. And we now have a different world where they're setting up businesses that are employing thousands and millions of people. They're inventing new types of social media that we haven't seen before. And they're doing things that are really inspiring with their purpose and their potential. And when that happens, then things transform. So that's why we started. In terms of how we do it, so we organize inspirational events where we bring along incredible speakers, business people from within the community, people that are doing great things within their fields, to give them an audience, similar to what you're doing, but to literally show young Black people that, look, here are people that look just like you that are very, very successful. People that you won't get to see in the news or in the media, and they're doing very, very well. So that's the first thing that we do. So we do these inspiration events. And then the second thing is mentorship programs. So we then want to connect these young people with these organizations and these people so that they can grow and develop. And I love what the last speaker said, because for us it's 100% about collaboration. Like we had 100 Black men come along to our event like 2 weeks ago, because collaboration is how things work. Because for us, we're really clear that we're not here to do everything by ourselves. That doesn't make any sense. So it's literally about who's better at something than we are, and how can we support you? Or who are we connected to there's actually a better fit for you, and who do you know there's a better fit for us? So that's like a quick overview about who we are, what we do, and why we do it.
Amazing, King, amazing. And now, just segmenting on from that, my question to you now is, do you think that our community help ourselves enough, or do we only just talk about the challenges and not actually seek solutions? Because I think a lot of people say that on social media, a lot of people shout about how we're not getting jobs and how we get portrayed in the media, but they'll say, oh, but people don't help us, or there's not enough opportunities. Do you think we just talk about this stuff, or there are opportunities there, but people don't take action to seek out those opportunities?
It's a great question. I mean, how would I answer that? I'd say the mindset is changing, like it's transforming. And the reason why, maybe like 5-6 years ago, there were more people that would complain and not do much about it. Like they'd wait for things to happen to them. But I'm seeing more and more that people within our community are being more proactive. They're being more pioneering. They're trying different things. So I'm definitely seeing more of that shift, just in conversations with organizations that we speak with, in things like this today. People that work with us, I'm seeing more of a change in terms of mindset and thinking. So that's definitely what I touch on. And to kind of take it a little bit further, because for us, and also the reason why I love what 100 Black Men of London are doing, is that we're not about people being angry. We don't want our community to be angry, afraid, or confused. We don't want that, because I do a lot of work with mindset. So when someone's angry, afraid, or confused, the limbic system, another part of the brain, is taken over, like in the middle of the brain, it's taken over, and people are then not able to think logically. They're not able to think responsibly and make a difference. So for us, we're definitely about how we can empower more of us to be like that, because there are challenges. Yes, there's challenges, and it's what can we do to be responsible that we have it all turn in our favor. So that's definitely our vision, and we partner with organizations who are about that.
Okay.
That's a question. I hope it does.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, bro.
I did want to ask you, you mentioned earlier that you like to put successful Black people in front of the people that you work with. And so why do you think that representation is so important?
Wow. It's simply this, that when you can see it, you believe it. So seeing something has a huge impact. As human beings, we take in a large chunk of our information through sight. It's really powerful that we do that. So that's why you could argue that that TV is more powerful than radio. They say that a picture paints 1,000 words. I'd say a video paints 1,000,000 words, right? So when you can see somebody who looks like you, who's been through a similar journey as you have, and they're successful, it just gives you that incredible belief, that incredible clarity of, I can see this person being successful. So do you know what? I can do it as well. So that's why I think it's so important. And that's why I think it's so powerful.
Amazing. And also we've had some questions from the audience actually, and they're gonna come on screen soon. So we're just gonna see what the audience have to say and make sure we interact with them as best possible. So we've got Andy Roach, the legend, who is a mentor for the 100 Black Men of London. Big up to you, always coming to these events and supporting. This question is, what are the critical interventions and support required from the community?
What, from us to the community, or community from the community? Okay, I think
I'd say from our community.
What, to support us, or for us to support people, or just generally?
Us to support ourselves, I think.
Okay, I'd say there's different ways to answer that. So let me have a look at this. One of the things that I see that I'm very passionate about is entrepreneurship. So I'd say that's a critical intervention, that we can have young people that have got brilliant ideas about business. How do we support them from like, say, 10, 11, 12? How do we give them the resources, both in terms of the physical resource and the mental capacity to grow their businesses? That when we can do that, it brings really power. It just impacts our economic growth within our community. I've said before to one of your VPs that racism, from what I see, is not about color. It's about economics. It's literally about economics. So if we can empower young people from a very, very young age to go and literally grow their businesses, to bring in revenue, to be self-sustaining within their home, their family, within the community, it completely shifts things in a massive, massive way. So that's one thing that I definitely talk about. Another thing that I would definitely also mention is support for parents. So parents actually having the support that they need to train these incredible leaders in their house. I think support for parents is massively important, because I talk with lots of parents, and over COVID, they've had a very challenging time, being stretched with work. The children are now, for a large part, were literally always at home with them, and they were very stressed, under lots of pressure. So supporting parents that they can provide a really powerful environment at home, that the children, that the leaders can grow up in that kind of environment. So those are a couple of things. And also when I say with parents, maybe it's different now, but supporting parents to communicate with their children, and even saying those 3 words. So like, I love you to the children, it's huge. So where the parents might have a gap with that because of how they've grown up, so training them that those 3 words for your children are massively important. Those are just some of the things that I'd say. And I've got to also say inspiration. So in any way in which you can inspire a young person. Now, inspiration is not motivation. I'm not talking about motivation. I'm talking about you do something whether or not you feel like it. That they're so clear on who they are and what they can do that they're inspired to move forward. So anything that deals with those three things, I would say that's a really great start.
Okay, and so we do have another question from the audience, and they were asking what is causing black on black crimes and what else can be done to stop them.
Sure. Do you know what? Great question. Many ways to answer that. I'd say the first thing is about identity. It's about identity and really knowing who you are as a young black person. Knowing that and being clear that you're not who the media tells you that who you are, that you're this powerful, incredible person with incredible potential that can create incredible things. I think that is a really powerful place to start. And then also realizing that someone that looks like you is your friend. Someone that looks like you is your ally. That's your ally. That's somebody that's been on the same journey or a similar journey that you've been on. And that person is not a threat. That person is not a threat. That person is there so you can both go on this incredible journey called life together and do fantastic things. I would say that's the place to start. Yeah. I was going to say your name is Amonette.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, thank you so much. That was absolutely wonderful.
My pleasure, Amonette. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jonas.
You're welcome, King. You're welcome. And guys, thank you for coming on. Now I'm going to allow Vanessa to come back on, and we're going to introduce, firstly, before we get into the next group as well, we're going to bring on two organizations. First, the Young Black Teachers Network. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you feeling today?
I'm Ria, Black Teachers Connect. Kemi is YBTN, so I'll let her introduce herself first.
Hi everyone, I'm Kemi and I'm the founder of the Young Black Teachers Network. Can everyone hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And we have the Black Teachers Connect. If you could just...
Hi everyone, my name is Ria Gibbs and I'm the founder of Black Teachers Connect.
Just to start off, thank you for coming and joining our live today. Thank you so much. So my first question is, why do you think it's necessary to have a network of Black teachers?
I think, well, first of all, there's not a lot of us in the education sector anyway. So Black teachers make about 2% of the education sector in England. And I think we need to, representation is important. If our students don't see people like them in the classroom teaching or in senior leadership positions, middle leadership positions, then they're never going to feel like they can aspire to being in those kind of positions themselves. It's important that they can see themselves in us. And also, not just for our Black children, it's also for children who are white and Asian. They need to see it as the norm and not the exception.
Yeah. So yeah, Black Teachers Connect.
For me, I think it's so important, as Kemi has said, not only for Black children, but for all children. I mean, we can look at Black teachers in London, for example, and most Black teachers are in London. And if you go outside of London and you go across the rest of the UK, there's a lack of Black teachers. And so what that does is it creates a disparity for young white children and young non-ethnic children. They don't see Black people teaching, and that can really cause a lot of issues, especially as they grow older. And so I think it's really important. Black teachers bring a lot to the classroom, and so it's so important to have that representation going forward.
100%. And I actually, my first ever job in an apprenticeship was actually in a school. And I used to hate school when I was growing up, but because I was desperate to get an apprenticeship, I was like, oh, okay, I just got to take the school thing. And the thing is, I was avoiding getting a job in the schools for so long, but I had to take it. But my question is, because now I've seen schooling from both the student perspective and then the staff member perspective, and I wanted to ask, do you think that as Black teachers, it's difficult to connect with Black children because you know what they're going to have to go through? You know about the systematic racism, institutional racism, and the unconscious bias that they face in education and also in work. Do you find it difficult to connect with them and not make it seem that you're favoring them as Black students?
No, I wouldn't say it's difficult to connect with them. I say I'm a young Black woman. I grew up in South London. I went to a school in South London. I know exactly what it's like to be as a young girl in a school where teachers may label you, where you may come into contact with racism, for example. So I'm able to give my students the tools to know how to navigate that. And as a Black woman, that's very, very important. It's not difficult to build relationships. I build relationships with all my students. I love all of them regardless of their color. But of course, I connect a lot more strongly with my Black students because I can relate to their lived experience.
So I agree. It's literally the same thing with me. I think for me personally, I've had experience of working in a mainstream school as well as a pupil referral unit. So it's a bit different when 90% of the children in a pupil referral unit. So that's where people go, where students go when they're kicked out of school. 90% of the kids are Black. So you have to be able to connect with them. If you can't, then what's the actual point? Like Rhea said, teaching is all about building relationships. If you do not have a relationship with your class, with your children, with your students, it's just not going to work. That's where you're going to have more issues. So for me, having that experience in mainstream, working in a pupil referral unit, and even since progressing in my career, making sure that those students can see that someone like them from East London has been able to do well for themselves, has been able to get an education. Because kids in my school, statistically, they don't go to university. Most teachers that work in PRUs, statistically, not a lot of them, majority of them are not qualified teachers. They don't have, maybe they don't have a degree, or they don't have the qualified teacher status, or whatever they need to be a teacher. And that means we're doing them a disservice. So my Black children, especially who are in the pupil referral unit, I need them to know that we are here for them.
Shout out to East London. I grew up in East London and I went to Brampton Manor, and I'm currently a student. I go to the University of Cambridge as well. So
shout out to you.
I had quite a positive experience in the education system, and I do think it's because I've seen teachers who look like myself and they really try and harness my potential, and they see that perhaps if you're having a bad day or something, they kind of recognize that life is not as easy, or we do find it slightly more difficult to get through the day. But do you think the education system in general, do you think it provides a foundation, a good enough foundation for student lives?
It does. I feel like it does provide a good foundation. However, it's not enough. And I say that in the sense, the education system is very much broken in this country. If it wasn't broken, there'd be no reason to fix it. And we see that in terms of institutional racism. We see systemic racism in our schools as well. Like, that's the foundation that a lot of these things were built on. So people are trying to change it from where they are, but it's going to take a lot more. It's not even about changing. It's about like dismantling the whole system and building it up again. I think education is always going to be the core of our lives, because without an education, what is there really? We need to learn to read, to write. We need to make sure we have those type of opportunities to go to Oxford and Cambridge, to make sure we have teachers who believe in us, because for a lot of our children, especially my children, they don't have that kind of support system at home. But when they come to school, it's like you have a surrogate family away from your family, and they need that support system. So education is the foundation we give them, so then they can build a better life for themselves in future.
Agreed.
Absolutely. I would definitely agree with that. I think education is so important, but I think the way the education system especially deals with Black children, they don't always get to value their education as much as they should be able to, because sometimes the issues they deal with in the education system pushes them out of it. And that's what we see as a trigger reaction, that ripple effect. Young Black people aren't valued in the education system. That's why we have a lack of Black people that are teaching, because they're not valued there. Why would they come back and become a teacher? So it's a ripple effect that we see happening. And so in order to tackle the issues that we're facing with the lack of Black teachers, we have to tackle those issues with Black children and what they're facing in the classroom.
And we actually got a question from YouTube, and it may appear on the board soon. I mean, on the presentation live stream thing soon. But the question that I wanted to ask both of you from YouTube is, what are the major challenges facing Black students, and what is the intervention necessary?
From what I've noticed personally, is the pupil exclusion rates. So Black children are more likely to be excluded from school compared to their white counterparts, especially Black Caribbean boys. And they will tell you, like, statistically, it's white, Gypsy or Romanian children that are excluded more from school nowadays. But if you're going to look at the statistics and break it down, Black Caribbean boys being 4, 5, 6 times more likely to be excluded from school, that's a different ballgame. And it tends to be for things that are like persistent disruptive behavior, like low-level disruptive behavior. So you're now criminalizing these children, punishing them more harshly for things that a white student can get away with. And it's clearly not fair. So when I have students coming to my pupil referral unit and you find out what they got kicked out of school for, I'm just like, why? I'm not saying their behavior was great. I'm not saying that, what they did was right. I'm not trying to pardon that. Obviously, it's important that students know what is right, what is wrong, what not to do in class, and so on. But at the same time, why should they get a harsher punishment than their white counterparts? Then we also have the criminalization of Black girls. And because Black girls tend to, from when I was in school and also as a teacher, they develop a bit more earlier. Well, girls develop earlier than boys. Like physically, they start going through puberty and changes. You start seeing them as women, even though they're still children. So when you're making them seem like adults before their time, and when you start to punish them harsher and give them, put these labels on them, they're not going to. That's the main issue that I'm finding in education right now, and it's just causing, like Ria said, it's a ripple effect. It's causing more and more problems where we're going to just start to see more of a school to prison pipeline, and therefore a prison to prison pipeline.
Do you have anything to
add? For me, pretty much, I think Black children are policed within the classroom. They're policed within school in every single aspect of their being, down to their behavior. And so Black children can be behaving in the exact same way as white children, but their behavior is much more policed. Black boys they can be tall and they're seen as aggressive just because they're young Black men. And the stereotypes that we see in the media often sometimes feed themselves into the education system. So I've had issues with teachers where they told me, some of the kids in this school remind me of the kids on Top Boy. And I'll be like, okay, but what are you trying to insinuate about them? Our children aren't going out and doing drug deals. Do you know what I mean? So I think there are so many issues that Black children face, down to hair discrimination. So one of the schools in my trust, they're currently dealing with a lot of issues in regards to hair discrimination. The girls feeling as if they're not valued, as if they can't wear their hair as they should. Their hair is much more policed. And so down to school policies, they work against our Black children. But in order to be able to make real change, we need to have Black teachers, Black senior leaders in positions of power that can actually impact on policy. Nothing changes about impacting on policy. We can push as many Black teachers as we want into the classroom, but if they don't get to a level where they can actually make those changes, nothing will happen.
Yeah, and just to add something, and before I say this, guys, don't think that I hate the school system, because I really don't. But I remember once when I was actually in school, and I'm not going to talk about all the experiences I faced in the school system because I didn't really have a good experience in it, which is why I dropped out of college and then did an apprenticeship, which was actually quite a good decision for me personally. But I remember once, and this is just a little thing, it's nothing compared to other stuff that happened, but I remember in year 11, it was the getting down and dirty to GCSE time. But when we would come in the classroom, it was actually my maths teacher, and a white student came in the class and he was like, hey, and then the teacher said, oh, sit down. The following week, I do the same thing, and she's like, get out, Jonas. And I'm like, wait, what? Wait, so this guy just did that, and you said sit down. I'm getting top, like, not to brag or anything, but I was getting top grades as well. And you're kicking me out. This guy was getting low grades, and you're keeping him in there, but you're not letting me excel and get higher grades because I did the exact same thing. And even I went to a white teacher and said, look, this happened last week, and she was like, how come he can do it and you can't? And I was in my head, I was like, I think I know why, but I'm not going to say it, because last time I pulled the race card in school was in primary school and my grandma got called in. So I was like, I'm not going down that path again. But yeah,
you're not pulling the race card though. That's one thing people need to understand. All this, you're pulling the race card, you're pulling the race card. Who would have to pull it if there was never an issue? Like, true, yeah. It doesn't, we wouldn't have all this, you're pulling it. We're not pulling a race card if this is my lived experience. You can't tell me about something I'm experiencing and telling me I'm pulling a race card. That's not how it works. And secondly, what do they expect you to do as a student in that situation where the teacher has more authority? you're trying to explain your reason behind or why this may have happened. What do they expect you to do if you can blatantly see the differences between yourself and the other student? That's why when people say, "Oh, I don't see color," I roll my eyes because I can see my shade. I can see my shade of brown. I can see yours. I can see everyone's on the screen. So how can you say you do not see color?
No problem. Real issues with labeling in the classroom, and so many students don't know how to navigate those issues in the classroom. So what happens is they're labeled once and they develop an issue with that teacher, and that becomes this out of control spiral. They become disengaged from that. And then what do we have? We have the exclusion. It starts off with exclusion from lessons and it turns into a permanent one. And so that's what we see. It's actually just an out of control spiral. So it really is sad. And it's sad to know that that's happened to you. But as a Black teacher, I know how to navigate that. White teachers, sometimes with behavior, especially with Black children, they'll just be like, okay, you know what? Bye. See you later. That's their way of dealing with things. So yeah, absolutely terrible.
Just to also link to that, me myself, obviously you can't see because I'm sitting down, but I'm quite tall. So I feel like in my educational experiences, if I said something, even if it's just in the same tone I'm speaking with now, I have experienced being called like argumentative or aggressive or something, and if I stand up, then it's even worse because I'm 5'10". Like I feel like lots of teachers have actually called me aggressive and things like that. And obviously I did well in school and things like that, so I'll be in the top sets. But me simply asking questions, I've seen that it's kind of had a negative response. For example, in English, I would ask loads and loads of questions because it was my favorite subject. And it got called as being disruptive and being negative. So I 100% on both sides of the spectrum, it's quite difficult to navigate the system as a young person. But also linking to what you said about the attainment gap in university, I've seen that at the top universities, there is a giant gap between African students and Caribbean students. What do you think can be used to close the attainment gap?
Well, for my dissertation, actually, my dissertation topic was actually the Black and Caribbean students, why there's such a lack of them in top elite universities. So when we look at our Russell Group universities and we look at our Oxbridge universities, I'm a Caribbean student. I went to the University of Birmingham, Russell Group University. I was one of a few Caribbean girls. There were many African girls in the university. And a lot of the issues that we see, many people talk about culture and that Caribbean families don't value education. That's not the truth. Caribbean families very much value education. Some of the issues that we see start from things such as secondary school, because there's already a disparity in the attainment gap between Black African and Black Caribbean children on both levels, including boys and girls. So what we see is there are many issues that are contributing to why we have a lack of attainment of them in higher education as well. There are so many different issues, from family background to when they come into the system, feeling isolated, not feeling like they can actually build themselves up. And as a result, we see that gap in results. And you even see it when we talk about the levels that they're leaving university with. So the gap between 2-1, 2-2s and firsts.
Definitely. I've seen that as well. In like my experience, for example, we have the ACS, the African Caribbean Society, and just things as there has to be a Caribbean officer just to represent the Caribbean in the ACS. I think that is something that just highlights the disparity to me. I'm from Barbados and Guyana, and not that it's a bad thing. Like, I 100% love and support my African sisters and brothers. But looking around in terms of your self-identity and things like that, and seeing people who represent you or have the exact same culture as you is quite difficult in navigating university life. But just, there was a question from YouTube. If it's going to come up on the screen.
Oh, this is interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I don't. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, I think so. You know how people kind of say there's, I don't know, like sometimes white women can gaslight some of these situations in terms of racial situations. Sorry, I wouldn't say like, I can't outrightly say white women or white women teachers are the major contributing factor to high exclusion of Black boys. What I will say is it's just teachers in general. And when I say, I don't just mean just Black teachers or white teachers. I just mean when we have these labels on these children, when we start putting these labels on them, there's a self-fulfilling prophecy that also comes with it. And because they're young, they don't have that emotional intelligence always to deal with it or to navigate through these things. So the first thing for you to do is to exclude a child rather than finding out the root cause of the issues or the behavior that they're going through. And that, so obviously for schools, there has to be a process as to, before they exclude a child. But for a lot of these schools, they kind of do certain things to bypass these things and then exclude a child straight away. So I can't explicitly say white women teachers are the major contributing factor, although statistically we do have more white women who are teachers compared to white men. So I don't know, that could also play a factor in it as well.
Another factor I would say as well, just to jump in, is sometimes we also have to look at the community. Sometimes, especially I think in the Caribbean community, we do not always know how to navigate the education system. So parents don't have the education and cultural capital to understand how to navigate the exclusion system and what that means in a school. So if their child begins to be excluded from lessons, sometimes they don't know how to manage that. And that early intervention is important so you don't get down to the root of permanent exclusion. They don't know how to appeal these exclusions. And a lot of the time what happens is, well, they fall through the cracks. And sometimes they end up in pupil referral units. Yes, that can be good, but that can be bad as well. I'm not saying that PRUs aren't great, but we know that sometimes children go through PRUs and it's not always the best outcome. So sometimes you want to keep them in mainstream school, and sometimes we don't have that cultural knowledge of the education system to be able to know how to navigate it. And that's what my mum knew how to navigate that, because I was on the edge of exclusion in year 11 through Labour. So my mum knew what to do in that situation. Some people don't really know what to do.
Can I just add as well, because this is something I put out there on social media a lot, I need parents to be, although I believe a lot of parents are proactive, I need parents to ask questions, because there are a lot of things that they don't know. There are a lot of things that I'm first generation born here, my parents came from Nigeria, and there's a lot of things that they didn't know about the education sector, but they asked questions. And it's important that no matter how silly, how dumb you think it sounds, you must ask these questions. Otherwise, I don't want you to make the assumption that you may think you know the answers to the question, but just ask, whether it's the class teacher, the TA, the head teacher, deputy head. Make sure you get these questions answered. Don't leave without knowing that you've got a satisfactory answer from the senior leadership team. It's very, very important.
100%. And the last question we're going to ask you, and again, everyone that's coming on here, I'm thinking in my head now, I've got to ask these guys more questions because I'm learning so much from all of you. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
How can we as the 100 Black Men of London collaborate with both of you even more?
That's a very good question. Well, currently we have at YBTN, we do a lot of stuff for teachers in general, a lot of events, but we're currently focusing on our children. So we have a Black Studies program that we've put in place, and we have 5 weeks left of the Black Studies program. It was 10 weeks in total. So one way to make sure that we're supporting our community, and not just our community, but make sure people are educated on things they wouldn't learn in school. We just want to make sure that we get the information out there. These sessions are free. They're online for an hour on Zoom. So that's a way of making sure that the children in our community are getting taught things that they wouldn't normally get taught in school.
And I would just say, so we are a community interest company, so we just want community to be involved with what we do. If you can just spread the word, allow people to come to our events, and we welcome anyone to our events, and that means teachers, school leaders, head teachers, and parents, so they can see the issues that are going on. I work with Black teachers directly if they're dealing with any issues in their school, so I provide a support system for them. But Black Teachers Connect is really about community, because we can't do this alone, and it's so important to just work together. So anything you can do to just spread the word and working together, we're absolutely open to that, because we're so big on collaboration and community.
Thank you so much for joining us. That's Young Black Teacher Network and Black Teachers Connect. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope we do get in contact and continue spreading the word and helping our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
So I'm now just going to pass on to Adam and Amunet, who are going to talk about Mentivity.
Hi, so our next organisation, well, the next two organisations we're going to speak to this evening are Mentivity and Proud and Gifted.
What's happening? Look at this.
Good evening,
Surprise.
Hi.
Good evening. Evening.
So if the both of you could just introduce yourselves and tell us about what your organisations do within the community.
Am I going first, Steve? Yeah?
Yeah, you go first. That's no problem.
Appreciate it. So yeah, I'm Saysom Lewis. I'm the founder and CEO of Mentivity, which is a mentoring organization founded in 2016. It's a mentoring organization and an alternative educational provision. Started off in Peckham, working with young people. So yeah, 5 years we've been running, just trying to supplement the educational offer of young people.
I'm Proud and Gifted.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm Stephen, founder of Proud and Gifted, media platform that goes around the country and just celebrates young people's achievements. Just think it's something that I couldn't find to show, say, my niece or one of my family members, young Black boys, Black girls who are just aspiring and doing amazing things. Been doing it for just nearly 2.5 years. And that's the story of Proud and Gifted. And can I just say Stacey's my mentor.
He's my mentee and mentor. We learn from each other.
But yeah, that's Proud and Gifted.
Thank you so much for that. So in terms, so Mentivity, in terms of your alternative education, could you elaborate on that slightly?
Yeah, so what we've really focused on over the last, I've been working with young people for 22 years, is how we educate young people and those that are disengaged from mainstream education. So I'm a youth worker by trade, but what we've done is really try to focus on conversation-based learning and sharing experiences and learning through doing, which is important for a lot of young people that find it difficult within mainstream education. So we're educating young people in different ways by way of watching, for example, Top Boy and doing series reviews for every episode. And this is working on literacy for young people. And young people that come to us from pupil referral units, when they're doing this work, they're writing pages and they can't really understand why. It's because we're trying to teach them in different ways, get them to understand the world from their perspective. So we're really focused on really looking at how we make education more engaging for young people and making it something that's embedded within their life, because you're going to need it, going forwards, and you need to educate and think and circumnavigate situations by thinking in different ways. That's why we focus on alternative education.
Thank you so much for that. I think it's really important because a lot of our recent discussions within the 100 have been about, obviously, it's a part of the 100 to introduce life skills and learning in that extensive form, but also just in terms of hearing about how you use different forms of media and maybe in a less traditional sense to educate the children. And also you mentioned the different effect it has, which I think is really important in terms of diversifying education and children's learning.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the main thing, is that we've been educating young people in the same way for the last 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. Everything changed within that time. My son's studying the same books in year 10 that I did 20 odd years ago, which shows you which is a stagnant, form of education, which needs to be decolonized, and we need to decolonize our minds. This is why it's important for us to educate ourselves and educate young people from our perspective, from an Afrocentric perspective, rather than a Eurocentric perspective. And once you do that, it actually sparks that, that appetite for learning in young people, because it's all about what they're doing from their personal standpoint, how education is going to help them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
So nice to meet you both. I know both of your organizations are doing amazing things. I know we've been focused a bit more on the Mentivity side, so I do want to get to Proud and Gifted as well. But just quickly, just for saying, and it can be for you as well, Proud and Gifted. I know you guys have been focusing on improving and improving and maintaining the health of young people as well, and you focus a lot on mental health. But based on the stigma around mental health, how do you actually manage to change that for the young mentees that you're actually working with? And how do you actually create a place where they can actually be open with you to kind of work through some of their things? Because I know we say Proud and Gifted, and young people we want to see them strive, but when they actually are feeling down, how are you able to cater for them?
Is that for me?
For both of us, but you can go, Steve, if you want.
Yeah. So because the way Proud and Gifted is set up is we, as you said, Adam, we celebrate them, show them how great they are, how inspiring they are. However, the flip side, the mental health side, we have workshops that we obviously let them talk to us, not we talk to them, they talk to us, and then we obviously look forward to help them more to move on. So in my job, I'm an appropriate adult. Been doing it for 10 years. I support and assist vulnerable people and juveniles in police custody. And sometimes it's not, obviously I get permission from the young person, from their parents. If I speak to them on the phone, I'm happy to help them once they leave police custody. However, my job stops at the station. So I don't mind for the odd young person to find out what their issues are, because I understand that circumstances, environment plays a massive part. Well, it's something that I do off my own back. And on the flip side, I just show them what Pride and Gifted is about. And how can I put it? There's always room to improve. We all end up in situations that it's just one of them things. And so it's something that we do play. It plays a massive part once they leave, say, police custody, as an example.
Yeah, I just want to add to what Steve said. I mean, celebrating young people is important, especially from our backgrounds, because we don't celebrate our own. We don't give people their flowers whilst they're alive. You know, we just lost DMX and we're talking about how great it was, but we've got to do that when people are alive. And that's why what Steve's doing is so important in terms of celebrating young people. And he was actually part of our exhibition. We have an annual exhibition where we're celebrating young people, our mentees, their stories, their diversity, their difficulties, and overcoming those journeys. And it's important that we showcase success, because we don't see enough success in our communities. We celebrate success for people that are too far gone and have left the community. So for us now, it's about celebrating those people every day. And that's why we love to work with Steve and Proud and Gifted. And that's what Mentivity is really focused on, is getting to the crux of the issues with young people. And mental health is very rife, especially in our community, because it's a very taboo subject. So for us now, we're normalizing those conversations around mental health, around feeling down, and how we overcome those obstacles, but also how we share those experiences, because everybody's experiencing much the same things. So until we normalize that and have those normal conversations, then we're not going to overcome it.
Wow. Can I say something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to go back to what Sage was saying regards Pride and Gifted. I always believed that our young people are not, or were not, celebrated enough. We will see one story today. All right, it might stay for a few days, and then people will go back to posting what they think is better to post, which is negativity. And I believe that in the media, it's a minority that grabs the headlines that puts our young people in a bad light. And that's why I go around the country just to show young people, especially black boys and black girls. And the young lady that was on before, one of your presenters, is it? I don't like to pronounce it. Yeah, I celebrated her on Instagram. I'm sure it's her, when she got her GCSE results back at Brampton Manor. I'm sure I celebrated her on my page.
Yeah, she said it was.
Yeah, sorry?
She remembers.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, because, and again, I celebrated her in my stories, on my main page, and I think I actually DM'd her to say, well done, congratulations. It's just to show them that outside of their domain, there's people like myself, Mentivity, United Borders. We showcase these young people once, say the public has forgot about them. So that was it. Thank you.
Thank you. And why do you think that is? And why do you think us as black people are not getting the limelight we deserve, and we're not getting showcased enough in mainstream media?
Because I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you go first.
Yeah, no, we don't control the media. We don't control the mass media. So if we don't control the mass media, we can't control our narrative. And this is the thing where we got to stop begging and asking people for help. We've got to help ourselves. We've got to mobilize ourselves. We've got to create our own, nationwide networks. We've got the Voice newspaper, but we need our own black network, showcasing our program, showcasing our issues from a standpoint of our own, not from other people, and it's been interpreted. And this is where things get misconstrued in terms of the messages that we have about us. We bring love and light to every part of this world, and we have to showcase how vibrant we are and how great we are, because then if you see this on the TV and that becomes the norm, then you're going to be like, well, I want to be part of this greatness. So I'm going to keep being on my personal journey, because no young person is born deviant. This is learned behavior, and they're learning a lot of stuff because they're seeing things in the media, social media, mass media. And this is where we now need to really kind of stem that flow and really take control. And this is why, you know, what we're doing is so important. And me and Steve, we celebrate each other pretty much every day. We have banter online. Literally, it's just too much jokes, but we have to normalize this, you know, celebrating and tell each other that we love each other and how much joy we bring to each other's lives. We really got to make that normal.
Yeah, just echoing what Stacey's saying. It's like when Mentivity had their, I think it was their second billboard. I've gone there to support the entire Mentivity. I've gone there and I've seen myself on a billboard, and I was like, I rang my mom. I said, "Mummy, you wouldn't believe it," because I'm not saying we don't celebrate each other enough, but more can be done.
Yeah.
And Sace was right. We don't control the media. So what we're doing, Voice newspaper, I grew up reading The Voice. When The Voice newspaper commented on my post a year or 2 years ago, I tell you what, I was so excited. Because Sace knows what I'm like. But I was so excited because that simple engagement for a media platform that I look up to from when I was a youth, and they're still doing it, I think it's amazing. Yeah. We are moving in the right direction, especially to empower our young Black boys and Black girls. And someone's made a comment in the chat, I think, about what about young Black boys and Black girls who do not do so well in education. I'll tell you what I do for young people like that. They could be turning up to school on time every day. They could be attending school regular. I've sent out certificates to show them it's not only about getting big grades, which does help, but unfortunately we're all not like that. So any simple thing outside of gaining massive grades, I celebrate them.
Important. So important. Sorry, can I just touch on that? The reason why it's so important is because you don't know the amount of failures that people experience in their lives. So when you're used to becoming, you know, you become used to failure, which is difficult, you know, when you get those small little increments of success, it becomes addictive. And this again is what we've got to really push forward for young people, is that you're inside an educational system and also society which doesn't celebrate your small successes. And those are important to gather that momentum. Because for every time that you fail, every 9 times that you fail, you're going to have a success, which on that 10th time, which is going to be great because of all the failures you had before. And this is where we have failed in society in terms of controlling that. We control those moments, we can control the success, but also then that then impacts the mental health, and also about, right, I can actually overcome obstacles because I've done this today, I did that yesterday, and this is why I'm successful today. That's what we got to do, and that's why it's important. That's why we're so passionate about young people and our work.
Thank you so much. So I did also have another question, just in terms of, I think I've mentioned it before, but in terms of representation specifically, I know you mentioned how we can't control the media, but in terms of the platforms that we do have in terms of social media, and in terms of social media and those various platforms, how do you think is best to represent the community in order to enable young people?
I believe the platforms should just continue to share positive stories over negative stories, especially of young people. If we're talking about young people, it's the small things. So you don't need to wait for a young person that's blown in social media. They've blown so high that they might not engage with me or Mentivity's platform, because they'll look at our platform and think, oh, they've only got 3,000-4,000 followers, because it's not about that. If we just continue to focus on celebrating or sharing young people's stories, we will get there. We will get there.
We definitely will. And this is the key thing, is that sharing those stories is so important, because again, it fits into a wider narrative which is important to the people that it should serve, which is us, and it's about uplifting ourselves. If we don't uplift ourselves and celebrate our successes and say, look, this is what we're good at, then who else is going to celebrate us? Because again, we want to pander to certain things. You know, I'm not saying BAFTAs and the award shows are not good, but again, we want to be reinforced by people that are still oppressing us to some degree. And it's why it's important for us to celebrate ourselves, to keep that consistent narrative going about, look, what's going on in the community. These young people set up a food drive. Like, these young people set up a community session. Let's make this normal. Let's celebrate young people, because they feel quite down because their elders are not celebrating them. And if you're not celebrating and saying, look, I'm holding up this younger, look at him, look what he's doing. It's always the negative stuff that we want to promote and celebrate. And we really need to make sure that we're promoting the good things. No matter how little you may think it is, that makes a change for that young person and in their small realm. And that can then be passed on to other realms and other people. And it's like peer-to-peer kind of celebration.
Yeah.
And so next we have a question from YouTube, and so they wanted to know, what are the challenges faced by children and some of your mentees that aren't always obvious to adults in their lives, and especially to their parents?
It's a lot. It's a lot. I'll give you one story. There was a young man that I was coaching from about the age of 12. I coached him for about 4 years. This kid routinely turned up late to my sessions, training, to matches on Sunday. And he was a good player, and it frustrated me. So every week I'm a disciplinarian when it comes to football and time. I'm just like, why are you late? What's going on? I want to play you. Come on, man. Like, you're flopping. On this guy's case for about 3.5, 4 years. Mentivity started working in this school. It wasn't until one of our mentors were working with him, that I found out that he was a young carer. This was the reason why he was coming to school late, getting detentions, coming to football late, getting obviously chastised by me. And I didn't ask him once, why are you late? What's going on? Are you okay? And when I found that he was a young carer, I was so angry with myself. I was so upset for him that everybody had treated him this way, because he was turning up late to school, getting detentions, turning up to football, wasn't getting a start. But before he got to football, got to school, he was getting his mum up, feeding her, sorting her out, setting her up for the day, and then coming to school after he sorted himself out. And not one person asked him, are you okay? What's going on? How come you're always late? And I was one part of that problem. So I was really upset when I found out. I had to apologize to that young man and say, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I didn't ask enough questions. I didn't find out how you were and get to the crux of the issue. So these are kind of some of the problems that young people are facing. They're trying to be children. They've got to look after their parents as a young carer. They're still trying to have their own lives, a social life, you know, play football, play sport, and no one's answering the questions. So there's a lot of hidden kind of hidden situations that young people are going through, you know, and we don't take the time as adults to actually sit down and listen to them and be part of their lives. And that's something which we really got to do as better as adults. And that's why Mentivity is really here to stay and really support young people, because we need to understand their stories and their difficulties and support them on their journey of adolescence.
Yeah. Mine's the flip side to Stacey's. I chased a young person for about 8 months to award them. The parent, we set times, young person, if not late, didn't come. The mom couldn't work out why. And in the end, I think I just asked a simple question. What is bothering you? But I didn't do it in the beginning, I won't lie. I'm just thinking, oh, come on, man. He ain't come again. And I'm more thinking of the reasons why we're there. In the end, he admit his sibling was involved in gangs. So he had to make sure the sibling from school or wherever activity he had to make sure he got home. Because I was planning to meet him between like 4 and 5, because I understand that schools and college. And it's only in the end when we asked, and the mum admit, I didn't think to ask. I said, don't blame yourself, because I didn't do it in the beginning, but it's just that simple question that has a massive knock-on effect in a positive way. So I can only say what Stacey's saying is sometimes we need to remember that these are children.
Yeah.
And they've got a lot of responsibilities that we're not aware of, but we just assume they ain't got a lot of responsibilities because, boy, Your job's to go to school, come home, do your homework or whatever. But I think sometimes we forget we was young.
Yeah,
That's all I
definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
Sorry. Yeah, in a nutshell, we just forget we was young. We tried one or two things, but in the end, we was lucky enough to survive what we was going through, whereas some young people, they don't survive it.
Exactly.
Wow. Thank you so much. And what I'm seeing here is there's a lot of there's a breakdown in communication, which is why it kind of gets to that, and a lot of young people are having to grow up a lot older than they are.
Yeah.
But just the last question is, how can we, as a 100 Black Men of London, how can we actually collab with you to make a change and a bigger impact in our community?
Shall I go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Send the young people my way so I can celebrate them.
That's easy enough.
That's it. Send them my way, because 100 Black Men of London, I've been following them before I created Pride and Gifted.
Wow.
And in the beginning, I could never understand the message, because I just kept seeing mentor. And once I read it properly, and I'm going to be honest, live on this platform, Bits of Pride and Gifted was always created from what I saw with 100 Black men. More so Paul Lawrenson. Is it Paul Lawrenson?
Paul Lawrence, yeah.
Rest in peace. That man, he always blew me away. So all I can say is, please send young people my way. I will celebrate.
We will.
Standard. You know what? It's more of what we're doing now. You know what I mean? It's just working together and working in our expertise, our areas of expertise. If we know that someone can go to 100 Black Men of London, cool, we'll signpost them to them. And we need to communicate more amongst our organizations. But also, I think we need to have a strategy. And for all of our Black-owned and Black-led organizations, what is our strategy? What are we doing? What are we all working towards? Once we simplify that strategy, then we can create, you know, a pathway of support which is more holistic, but also more defined by people's expertise. So I think it's important for us to come together and make sure that we're celebrating what we're doing and also shouting about what each other are doing. It's a very, very important time for us as Black Britons, and we really need to come together. So more things like this, man.
Yeah. I'd just like to say, I know we've got to go. Thank you so much. I only confirmed this morning because I forgot to reply in the week. So I'm going to tell you now.
Bad times.
No, thank you so much for giving Pride and Gifted this platform. Thank you.
Same. Thank you so much. Appreciate you having me.
Thank you guys for coming on. We really
thank you so much for joining us today. I think it's been so inspiring to see your enthusiasm and your dedication to the community within the organizations that you work through. So thank you so much for coming on today and just sharing your experiences and your work with us.
One thing before you go, thank you both for presenting so well. Appreciate it. We'll definitely connect. But Steve, what do you do at Proud and Gifted?
We celebrate young people's achievements.
There you go. Big up, Steve. Big up, Proud and Gifted.
Mentivity for life. Thank you very much, and great host. Thank you so much for relaxing myself.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So next tonight, I'd like to welcome back Vanessa and welcome the Amos Bursary to the platform.
Hi. Hi. Guys. I love the energy. It's great. So hi, I'm Vanessa, as she said. Do you just want to talk about what Amos Bursary is and what is the organization about?
Okay, so the Amos Bursary is a charity which helps academically able young people. For 10 years, we specialized on supporting young Black men, and this February, for the first time, we introduced a cohort of young women. And what we do is that we take academically able young people from in their sixth form, and they stay with us for 5 years. And in that time, we literally give them the skills, the support that they require to ensure that they make the best of their university, they transition to the university of their choice. And then when they're at university, they're then able to make the most of the opportunities at university. And then from there, they transition into the world of work. So we're all about the journey of the young person. But on top of that, we were about providing the pipeline for corporate organizations who are saying that they can't find us in the workplace. And we were about showing top level universities that not only can our young people go to those universities, but they stay at those universities.
Mm. That's amazing. So first of all, I have heard of Amos Bursary before. I think he came into my sixth form, but at the time it was just aimed at the boys. But I think it's amazing because right now I go to Cambridge and there are some people who are in your organization who are there right now, and I have heard a lot about you guys. Just passing over to Aminette for the next question.
So I did want to ask you, in terms, obviously you spoke about that you work with a lot of corporate organizations. Have you noticed within the past 6 months or so a change in the level of engagement you have from corporate organizations with you guys and with the young people you work with as well?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, we have. I think that Black Lives Matter, let's get to the point, Black Lives Matter really changed the dynamics for us as an organization. And a lot of organizations also themselves, we did a lot of deep thinking. And so as a result of that, we are now engaging with a lot more corporate organizations, and that has meant that we've been able to expand as an organization. Last year, we could only afford to take 15 students. This year, right across the piece, we're supporting over 100 this year, and we've made a massive growth because, you know, we're trying to take as many with us as we can.
Yeah. In terms of the students who are part of your program, what kind of support is there once they reach these higher education institutions? Because I found it's quite difficult being a young Black student at Cambridge, for example, not just navigating it academically, but navigating it and kind of keeping your identity and keeping your Blackness in that sense. So what support does your organization provide?
You know, I think that what's great about the Amos Bursary is that we're very much a family. So the feeling that our student, that anybody gets when you are part of the bursary is that you're kind of part of this family who are supporting you. So whether you go, for me, whether you go to Oxford, whether you go to Cambridge, whether you go to Manchester, Birmingham, it really doesn't matter because the experience is actually very much the same. And what we do in terms of providing that support is that each student is given a peer mentor and a professional mentor. So they have that support, which they take with them as they go through university. We also have a wide range of not mentors, but other people who are there to kind of provide them support. And the other thing that we do is really around our alumni. We have an amazing alumni. And the alumni themselves are there to support the younger students who are going through the experience that they went through. So I would say that one of the things that we do for students who are at those type of universities is that they know that they have a place or an organization that is there to support them. When we were actually operating under the previous times, pre-COVID, one of the things that we did is that when students were coming to London for Amos events, we would actually pay for their travel. And for a lot of them, just to be able to come home, to be with their group of some young men who are just like them, meant so much to them. So I think it's about that sense of belonging that they know that they have and that they can come and speak to any one of us regarding issues.
Definitely. Just a leading on question, is there a possibility for students who weren't necessarily there at the beginning of the organization in terms of when you found young people in sixth form to join when they're in university or beyond?
We don't actually require them to join. There are a number of events that we have that are open events, so students can actually join that. But you know what people have to realize is that now we have something like 170 odd students who have all gone to universities or who are at university. One of the things that we always say to our students is each one teach one.
Yeah.
Yep. So, it's kind of building the groundswell in that way. And a lot of the students who are at the universities, they have friends who make the most of the fact that they are associated with our young men, who the information and support that they get from us, they share.
Yeah.
We're very much about empowering as many people in the community as we can.
Okay. Thank you so much. I did want to ask, the Amos Bursary initially worked with male students, and you've now opened up to more female students. And I was wondering what inspired that change.
Look, we will always, at the core of what we do, will always be about supporting young men, okay? Because we realize that their challenges at every stage is much more so than young women in terms of attainment at every stage, okay? But what we realized is that after 10 years, we had got so much knowledge about what success looks like, yeah? We had so much that, we felt that the time was right at this point. A lot of the young men themselves indicated to us that they would be very happy for us to kind of make that move. And to be perfectly honest, we received funding to help us to begin to introduce young women onto the program.
Thank you so much for joining us today. That's Amos Bursary. Just in terms of going forward, is there any way in which we could interact with your organization, how the 100 Black Men could help out, or you guys could help out the 100 Black Men?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you guys are providing the pipeline for us. Yeah, so just continue what you're doing. And we, like a lot of other organizations, are struggling to find Caribbean students. So if you can really make that an area of your focus, then do come to see us with regards to that. And, we're like everyone else. We're happy, to collaborate. We're always looking for mentors. We're looking for career coaches. We're just looking for people who are happy to come along to an event and be there to support our young people.
Yeah.
So there's so much in terms of collaboration that can be done.
Thank you so much for joining us. I really hope to collaborate more with your organization in the future. Thank you so much. So we're now going to pass on to me and Adam and talk to 412 Men. Thank you, Aminette. Hi. So yeah, just gonna pass on to Adam.
Hey, is it how do you pronounce your name, sir? Sorry.
Ayo, but you can just say Ayo.
Ayo. Nice to meet you, Ayo. Yeah, can you just tell us a bit about yourself and what you do at what does 412 Men do, and how you actually help the community?
Yeah, so my name's Ayo. I'm 31 years old, married to my beautiful wife Susan, 4 years this year. I'm a photographer by trade, so I specialize in wedding, commercial, and portrait photography. I also run another organization called Groom to Husband, which helps grooms transition from being a groom into husbandhood. And I also have an organization called 412 Men that I've been running for the last 4 years. And yeah, 412 Men is all about helping men navigate into the world of manhood, understanding what it means to be a man. Literally, that's the whole point of it. So obviously, because I'm a Christian, so we have a Christian orientation towards it. So we're using the Bible as the blueprint as to what it means to be a man. And there's a place for, Christian men to come together, talk about life, talk about their struggles, open space for them to really just be real about, what they're going through in their manhood journey, and just to find community, build relationship. And I'm really big on teaching them 3 key principles, which is community, accountability, and responsibility. All those things coincide in what it means to grow and develop as a man. So yeah, that's what I do in a nutshell. So yeah.
In terms of the Christian aspect of your organization, I did watch one of your YouTube series about I think it was being a white man's religion. I think that was really, really good. Like, I'm a history student, and the knowledge that was in there was absolutely amazing. I really enjoyed that, so thank you. But as a Black man, and in terms of where you are, what do you think are the main things that impact the Black community, that have like a negative impact on the Black community?
Yeah, bias because I'm a man, but I think it's just maybe the lack of present men in men's life. When I really dig deep in when I'm mentoring a lot of the guys, and obviously most of the guys that come to my meetings, Men's Monday, Fortune of Men, are Black men, 9% Black. So when we dig deeper to our insecurities as a man, somewhere or the other, it always links back to daddy issues. There's something there that wasn't right, or something happened, or whatever, that has really presented an area in their lives that has hampered their journey. And we've all kind of agreed that, obviously, like, it's not about necessarily being a perfect dad, but just having somebody there that looks like it, that's present, has a really massive influence. And I think if we could have more present fathers, rather than absent fathers, and rather than having fathers that are there but not actually present, I think that's one of the key things that I've sort of seen that I think needs to be big on. That's so my main goals in 412 Men is that we should be the example that we didn't have. So I'm really big on these men mentoring younger men, because we need to be what those men needed that we didn't have as well. So I think just Black men being present, being active in the lives of other young individuals are probably just one of the main big things that is an issue in our community.
Thank you. And also, I know that you guys are obviously tailored for Black men in our community, and you want to obviously see them grow and everything like that. But do you feel like there was also a need for the women to also be educated and empowered as well, or do you think there's enough of that, and that's why you solely decided to focus on the young men?
Our women have been holding it down for God knows how long. You know, even with the history, God have mercy. You know, God bless our Black women. You know what I mean? So I don't like. You know, they're women, so there's only so much they can do when it comes to impacting men. You know, and they've done a phenomenal job. So I'm more pro answer, which I think is men mentoring men, and men helping men, and men teaching men to really rise up to the game. I think the women have been given a task on the road that, you know, that's been, you know, available to do because of circumstances, but shouldn't be the way they ought to be designed. So I think we should go back to how it ought to be. And I think mothers are doing an awesome job, man. Most of the men that I mentor, whatever, mums are amazing, man. They've done what they can do, and even they tell me that they need another man to come and just, you know, check out this guy, because there's only so far she can go with what it means to be a man. You understand? So I feel like they've done a great job, and I feel it's time for men to rise up to the occasion and really do what we need to be doing.
In terms of working with men, how do you work with the slightly younger generations to kind of build them up into the men that they aspire to be?
That I'm actually trying to get more into. So this year, funny enough, I started to get to social work. I am working with the extreme end, so guys with like ADHD, and, you know, guys that are just like the special guys. But nonetheless, I'm actually in the middle of writing a program to really go to the age groups between 13 to 18, because I have realized that the guys I'm mentoring now, who are like 21 to their 30s, 40s, I'm getting to them a bit too late. So I want to get them a bit more earlier. So honestly speaking, that's an area that I want to get into, and I want to take the roots of school and just doing mentoring sessions and community projects as well. So that's the kind of next phase for 412 Men, and I'm going to be using men within my community as well to be mentors for those younger people as well, because I work with a lot of Black professionals and so forth. So I think it'd be a great time for us to take what we've learned over the years and, you know, apply it into our younger men. So that's my next adventure.
And in terms of, I got this from your website. It says we are a safe place for men to be honest, to grow and become examples. How do you think the community can provide more spaces for men? Because the idea that we have to provide a safe space, I feel like on one hand, it's a really positive thing that we are able to provide a safe space, but the fact that we live in a world where there needs to be a separate space for men to kind of grow and develop in that sense, how do you think we can make the general world a better place in terms of having men talk and have that kind of discourse to feel safe?
It is, guys, we live in a very what's the word to even use, like a crooked world, just to call it what it is. And the fact we have to create safe places speaks to that. So what I think needs to be the vision is that when we create safe places, which could be our homes, which could be anywhere that we can provide us under our power, we can then put all our efforts into those safe places to create men who can be in a safe place to be who themselves, to be vulnerable, to be honest, to get healing, get help, and then they can replicate that with other men in their sphere of influence. And my mindset with 412 men literally is this: I want to be able to mentor at least 12 men, like, intensely before I die. And my goal that those 12 men have to commit to discipling 12 men. Those 12 men. So I'm creating a cycle where maybe over the next 4 generations, somebody can link back their mentorship to me mentoring Mark, or mentoring Adam, or mentoring Billy. And then Billy mentored Joe, and then Joe mentored Adrian. So I think we have to really think. We have to think global, but build local. You understand? So I think we should just work with what we have, be faithful to that, and know that when we plant those seeds, they become fruitful over time. So yeah, literally. So I think for me, we were meeting in prep for like 2 years, and then one guy heard about us meeting in prep, and then he decided to come out. Good man. He decided to come out to say, look, you guys did a great job. I've got a space down the road. Come and use my space for free every Monday. And like, we've got a bigger space with interactive TV and everything else. So yeah, man, I've learned being able to use what I have can really do the main thing. So yeah.
Thank you so much for doing
No problem, man. Can you hear me? Sorry, I can't hear you guys. Hello? Sorry, it's a bit noisy where I am. Sorry, guys.
Thank you so much for joining us.
No, it's my absolute pleasure, man. You guys doing an awesome, great job. So keep at it, guys, man. Awesome.
Have a good evening.
We're now going to pass over to Amina and Adam to talk to Still Warriors.
I think whilst we wait for them to connect, I did want to just say thank you to everyone for attending as well and listening, because I know for us as the 100 individually, but also hopefully for you guys, this whole process has been incredibly educational to learn about the various events going on within the community, and hopefully the organizations that you've seen today will organizations that either you may be able to utilize yourself or could partake in if you have the relevant experience, especially organizations like Young Black Teachers, because it's so important, especially for me, I know individually, just to see Black teachers that I could relate to and work with in the education system made certain experiences so much easier. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. I think
They're coming on now.
Okay, yeah, sorry, we're just having a few technical difficulties. But yeah, and just to reiterate, I did want to mention the 100 crowdfunder. So yeah, so if you do either have any ways you can help us, or if you have any ways, yeah, if you can have any ways you can help us, or if you have funds that you're happy to donate to the 100, I think it's been incredibly important for me to grow with the 100, because I think the past 3 years, going through YLA, going through peer mentoring, it's just been an eye-opening experience to grow and to to grow and to learn and to evolve because of the work through the 100 do in terms of just the various different pillars, and in terms of the skills and the knowledge that I've gained as well. Yeah. And thank you to everyone again for watching and listening. I think the audience engagement has helped us to get extra information and insight from the people that we've brought onto the platform as well.
Thank you. And also, if you guys haven't already connected with us on social media, you can follow us on Instagram at 100 Black Men of London, on Facebook as well, and on YouTube as well. For those of you that are watching, feel free to subscribe. And this month is actually our 20th anniversary. So do feel free to keep in tune with us, because we do have several events throughout the entire month, talking on topics such as knife crime, and we do which we're focusing on all 4 of our pillars: so education, health and wellness, mentoring. And our motto at 100 Black Men of London is what they see is what they'll be. So we're really trying to really push this idea in our community and really just strive so that each and every single one of us can achieve greatness. So thank you guys, if you just bear with us.
Whilst we are waiting, I did also wonder if we could just take a moment to remember the young man Richard that passed away recently. I think for me personally, it was heartbreaking just to, I think for me at the time, being a student as well, and to understand some of the struggles that so many of us have faced over the last 6 months, and with the changes that we've had through the pandemic. It's been quite difficult, and especially with his condition and with the police handling of the situation as well. So yeah, I just wanted to take a moment to remember. Thank you guys. Cool. So we have Steel Warriors here for us today. Thank you for joining us so much. So yeah, just if you could tell us a little bit about what your organization do and how you're impacting the community.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me okay. Yeah.
We've got
all right, cool. Sorry, I'm struggling today with technology, still getting my head around all the different platforms. This is the first time on this. But yeah, thank you guys for obviously inviting me to this workshop, and it's obviously great to connect with you guys. So just very overview of like what Steel Warriors is. We're a charity, and the main concept behind the work we do is the fact that we collect knives taken off the streets, we melt the steel, and we build gyms in the communities. When we run several projects, we don't just build the gyms and leave them there, because then after that, that's useless. We then run a couple of projects around that, aimed at unifying or bringing unity in the community through fitness and well-being. So we run like a community cohesion project where we put on free fitness sessions a number of times in the week across the gyms that we've built so far in London. These are free, and anyone can turn up, and they're for all abilities, and it's centered around calisthenics. So that's like body weight training, so like learning push-ups, pull-ups. Obviously that's the basic, but calisthenics can go into some like crazy things, and we've got guys that develop their level of skill and ability to almost elite levels where they're able to compete internationally and that. But these are guys for the community, by the way. I'm not talking like people on TV. These are just standard people from areas like Tottenham, Brixton, East London, near like Poplar. The other thing we do is we run a program where we work with young people. Obviously, the fact that we take naps, we want to do our bit as well to kind of help. We're not going to say we're going to stop knife crime, because that's impossible to do, but definitely help to lower at least the level of violence and crime and violence that we see in our communities. And the way we go on about that is we've developed a program where we work with young people. Yeah, as I mentioned, they're more susceptible to get involved in madness. So we work in like referral units. We work with youth offending services, care homes, especially with guys that are looking to become care leavers. You know, so it's a very it's a tough transition to go through. You know, in working with these guys, I've learned so much. And what we do with them is we practically got a program where we teach them how to achieve a seemingly impossible goal. And I know it sounds mad because when I said it to other people before, they were like, what do you mean a seemingly impossible goal? So how it works is that, you know, we get someone to kind of find an exercise that they can't do or they believe is impossible. So let's say, for argument's sake, a muscle up, you know, where it's like you pull yourself on a bar and then like you kind of yank yourself up, and then, you know, when people first see it, they're like, oh, forget that, bro, I ain't gonna never do that. And that's the kind of goals we're going for. And listen, we've had even guys that a push-up, you know, it's been like, yeah, forget that, I ain't getting no push-ups, I don't do no push-ups, that's long. So we encourage them to go for a goal they know they can't do. And the way the program works is that we've got a street workout program that breaks down all the steps and all the kind of progressions, they're called, to build up to that exercise, be a push-up, muscle up, pull-up, whatever it is. But most importantly, we've got a mentality program. And now this mentality program is centered around 7 key principles that breaks down what, you know, people doing the course need to do to apply their mind to see through on their goal. Because you see, that's the hardest bit. You know, the information is there to get the pull up. But what sometimes is the hardest is to understand what you've got to do mentally, psychologically, you know, on a mindset level, to actually apply yourself and put the work. And this is why the beauty of calisthenics and fitness is, because you can't cheat. If you can't do a push-up, there ain't no hack that's going to get you a push-up. You got to put in the work. You got to put in the repetitions. And those of you guys that do go gym and are listening to this, you would appreciate the process. But, you know, sometimes, you know, it's having the mindset to see through on that. So the aim or the objective of this program is that once we get these guys to kind of achieve that fitness goal, that, you know, the program, in fact, is like minimum 8 weeks. But once they do get it, we're in a position to turn around to them and say, yo, listen, you man, you know that aspiration we spoke about a couple of weeks back, because, you know, through the work I do, a lot of people have aspirations, really and truly, you know, they're out on road, a lot of these guys doing what they do. But when you actually sit down and deep with them, they're like, brother, you know what? I'm like drawing. I've had a guy that's telling me that he likes drawing. But he's like, bro, I ain't going to make nothing of that. And I'm like, bro, are you tapped? Like, you know, there's like graphic design. There's all these like, you know, stuff that drawings is a talent, bro. That's an art. Like, people get paid mad money for this. And you know what? He just didn't believe it. He didn't go on. And just off the back of completing the program, and then obviously the program covers, I'll kind of touch on them 7 key aspects in a second. But he, off the back of that, he realized that actually, you know what? Actually, I could go and do something with this drawing thing. And he actually went into college and he's doing, you know, studying for graphic design, and spoke to him not long ago, and he's actually just said, bro, I'm not even on the road thing no more. Man's looking to actually, you know, just like, you know, knuckle down and get this done. You know, I'm tired of that kind of stuff. So look, what the main thing is, just what we try and do. So obviously we build these gyms out of Knightsville, but we're really truly looking to empower people out here through fitness to believe, you know, by achieving one hard fitness goal, that could be the catalyst, that kind of thing that kicks that positive cycle in someone's life. You know, I'm not going to say it works for everyone, but it definitely has worked for a few that we work with. So that's what we're doing out here in the communities. And yeah, man, that's the main concept behind the work. I appreciate that's a big old mouthful, but I hope it makes sense.
Thank
No, it's okay. Sorry. I think it's amazing to just see the amount of passion and enthusiasm you have for your work. So it's always good to get as much information from you as possible.
Nah, definitely. For me, it's not even a job. I'll be honest with you. Like, why for me matters so much is because I grew up in it, so I know what it is, and I know the motives and the mindset that drives people to do what they do. So obviously, because I've lived through it, there's like that emotion there. So I don't come at it as like, yeah, it's just a job, man's just like a case worker or whatever. Like, you know, for me, it's not even a paycheck. This is like something that goes far beyond, and it's close to home. You know, a lot of my relatives are still, you know, like they're just out there, you know what I mean? So like, obviously this work matters to me a lot. If I can help 1 or 2 people, then boy, I know I'm doing something good. But luckily through the work we're doing Still Warriors, we're helping quite a few. So yeah, man, I love what I'm doing, definitely.
And one thing I was going to ask you is that I know you mentioned about collecting knives and other young people handing you to knives. And I was going to say, like, what is it that also makes them want to actually confide in you and say, look, I've got a knife here, I've done this in my past. What is it that makes them even give it to you? And another kind of side question is that, is it actually handed physically to you, or like how do you what's the process of collecting the knives?
So bro, you chucked a couple questions there, but let me try and take them off and see if I remember what you asked. So first one is you say how I collect the knives.
Yeah.
So we have several kind of ways that we get them. So we work with amnesty services that are there. They collect knives. I have to say, majority of the bulk of the knives come from the Met Police. So when the Met Police obviously do what they do, they then kind of build up piles of these knives in like crates, in these wooden crates, and it's like every 3 months they collect up to 3 tons of knives, and we take that off them. Yeah, so it's crazy. Like if you go on the Still Warrior Instagram page or something, like, I think we posted a video on TikTok, and actually got like loads of views. Like it's like almost 250,000 views. But it shows the crates of knives that we collect. Right, that's one. And then the second one you said was I'm trying to remember actually now.
What is it that makes young people like confide in you and even
confide?
Yeah.
So look, in all honesty, I'm not going to say that I've had a lot of young people that come through in hand weapons. It's probably been a handful of times that I've had someone say, yo, listen, I'm holding something, but you know, I don't even want to hold that no more. Like, you know, I know you man turned that into something positive, so I might as well drop that to you. Obviously, I try and encourage because it's illegal, isn't it? So I say, look, bro, like I shouldn't really be taking it. Like you should just like try and drop it at a fed station, or police station or something, and then, but yeah, you know, look, it's a tough situation. I'm trying to avoid slang in case I don't know who the audience is. I'm trying to avoid. But it's a tough situation sometimes because you know, you just think, look, do I take this weapon of this person and know that that's one less weapon of the street, or do I stick to the legalities and you know the boom? And sometimes it's been a handful of times that people literally, like, one guy gave me an axe. Like a sharp axe, and I was thinking, bro, like this, you're like trying to move like them Assassin's Creed or something, bro. Like, I've had all kinds of weird things, but the confiding that happens down at the gym because look, people come down. Is that it's a local thing? Is and we're all just training, and what I try and do for the work with the communities, we try and create a positive environment. You see what I'm saying? Like where look, there's enough hate out there. There's enough competition and animosity. We're trying to just come together and say, look, the one thing that brings us all to that space is that we all want to grow. You know, physically, we want to get stronger, we want to get better, and that is that common ground that everyone's like, yeah, you know what? Listen, we're all here to grow. We're here to support each other. Let's just encourage. And you know what? Because of everyone understanding the journey, especially in fitness, calisthenic, like for you to hit a muscle up, you got to put in work. If for you to hit levers and you know the dynamics, like the I don't know if you guys ever seen that street workout, the guys that do flips and turns and all craziness on the bars. To reach that level is a high level of commitment, dedication, persistence, pretty much every single quality that it takes to succeed. You got to apply it there to get to that level. So you know, when we see people doing it and starting their journey, you know, everyone's humbled, and everyone's been humbled before in the sport. Yeah. So it kind of creates that atmosphere where people can just open up, talk openly, and actually say, yeah, you know what, I'd rather be doing this with my life, but I'm not, because for whatever reasons and motives they're stuck with what they're stuck. But obviously, we're trying to empower them to do something different.
I'm loving how we're being able to kind of transition from turn something from a negative to a positive. Even tomorrow, I'm gonna try and get back to the gym. I don't know.
I can't, bro. If not, come to the Still Warrior Gym. They're free. They're accessible. They're local, bro. Like
where's the nearest
a lot of the.
Where's the nearest one to South London?
Brixton, Ruskin Park on Herne Hill.
Okay. Oh, that's okay. I mean,
that's what I'm saying, bro. Trust me. When you go down and you see the vibe, then trust you think twice about signing up to that gym. Let me tell you that.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
I did want to ask, how, in terms of the young people that use your services and have had certain life experiences, how do those young people get involved in those situations?
How did they get involved? What in the situations like? You mean like just out and about kind of thing?
Yeah, in terms of situations where maybe they're involved in carrying knives or other weapons.
There's so many motives, but look, if I can bring it down to one of the things that I've kind of seen the most is, look, everyone out there that's out there kind of on the street and doing what they do. They're trying to improve their quality of life, be it financially, be it emotionally, in whatever way they see lacking. And it's sometimes when the options seem very limited, like as in like, look, I'm 13, I'm 12, 13, I'm from a certain background, I come from this area, like, and and they're struggling, they can't dress good, then they ain't got food at home, and the situation's a struggle. You're thinking, they're going to think, what's the most realistic way that I can actually improve my quality of now? Like, how can I get out of this? How can I just stop this stuff that's going on at home? And when they can't see a way out, you step outside your doorstep. Like, that's what happened to me as well. Like, I step outside my doorstep, I see who's got everything that I want to have, and you look for references to success, and it's the people out there. So you just think, I might as well just, that's the most realistic option for me from where I come from. And then you get involved with it, and next thing you know, you're in, and you never go in with the intention, yeah, I'm going to carry. I mean, I don't know. This is obviously speaking. There's so many different motives, but that's maybe one way or the other. One way, and from a lot of the guys that I speak with that are doing things and everything, deep down, they all aspire to have a better and different life. It's not the ideal.
Thank you so much for that. And just as our last quick question, how is there any way either we can collaborate with you as the 100, or you would like to collaborate with us?
Well, listen, that's why I actually came on the call, is to find out. I'll reverse the question to you. How can I support you? Because look,
well, the 100 has 4 separate pillars. So education, mentoring, and the one obviously that would closely relate to you is health and well-being. And so I think it would be massively important, especially we have a health and well-being day every year where we try and focus on different aspects of health, well-being, and usually that takes the form of physical activity, so such as boxing sessions, football games. And so I think for the 100 in terms, especially you mentioned calisthenics.
Street workout is easier. Trust me, street workout.
Yeah. Especially if you could maybe come down to Health and Wellbeing Day and join us for that, and maybe run a session. I think that would be massively important. And also, just let us know where the gyms are as well, just so in case we have young people that maybe would want to utilize them, especially with the situation with the pandemic, and even just not maybe being able to access a gym in the traditional sense.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. Yeah, listen, so definitely I can shout you out about, with regard to what you just said, supporting events and that. Look, as I said, there's free fitness sessions going on in the communities every single week. So any young person, or any you lot, or any young person that's part of what you guys do, you guys can let them know that we teach them how to build up to a press up. We teach them how to build up to a pull up. We teach them how to do this. We teach them everything they need to know, go and do, and use their body weight so that they can then go on and just be fit and know what they need to do, and practically have something in their locker for when they think, summer's coming up, I want to get in a bit of shape. They know what to do. That's pretty much so that's one way. Running workshops, 100%. I'll come down to your thing, and I'll bring a sick team to run a wicked session for you lot. And secondly, I wouldn't even mind putting on a session just specifically for you lot. So if you lot put a group together, I would actually get some wicked athletes and some great talent to come down and just vibe up. We put music, we work out, and just just support you lot. If that's the best way to support, then I'm down.
Thank you so much. And also feel free to shout us out. We'll shout you guys out as well. But
thank you
for what you're doing, and we really appreciate you that you came on tonight. And take care.
Listen, I appreciate you having me, man. Have a great night, you lot.
You too. Thank you.
So next up we have Stola, and I'm also joined by Jonas from Manhood and Manhood Academy.
What's up? How are you doing, guys?
I'm Roto Mentors as well. Good evening, guys.
Yes, family. How you doing, man?
We're doing well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, man, I'm good. You know, we're good, man. I'm good, thank you. I'm good.
Loving the energy, sir.
Yes, yes, yes.
So yeah, would you just be able to introduce both of yourselves and let us know what you do at Real Talk Mentors and at Manhood Academy? So we can start with Manhood Academy.
Yeah, so greetings, everyone. Blessings. My name's Davis. I'm from Manhood Academy for Boys. We work with young people and families across the UK, and we specialize in something that's called rites of passage. What is a rites of passage? When I was younger, I was told, Davis, if you want to be a man, you need to do X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to say what because I'm not sure who's watching right now, but it was not something good. It was not something positive. But I was told that by me doing that, I'll be able to get some stripes, or I'll get some recognition. I'll get status, and I'll be able to enter that space or that realm called manhood. And a lot of people, I'm lucky. I came out and I survived some of the activities that I did. I know a lot of people, they're trapped in that, but they're trying to find themselves. You know, they've gone on a journey. A lot of films that we watch, whether it's Black Panther or Lion King, a lot of the lead characters, they have to go on a journey to become the better version of themselves. And that's what we do at Manhood Academy. We identify and we recognize that it is difficult to be a young Black boy. It's hard, especially when a lot of people can't even define what manhood is. You know, there's a massive difference between being a man and what a male is. Also, we support young people. We help them with their businesses. We help them with their challenges. We help them at school and so on and so forth. And that's what we do periodically. The lockdown has kind of interrupted it, but we take young people to Africa where they explore. They don't only explore the landmass, Gambia in particular, but also they explore themselves. They explore their potential. They explore their dreams. And I'm sure everyone on this webinar right now, they've got dreams, they've got aspirations. But sometimes there's blocks, there's challenges. So what we do with the young people that we work with as well, we help them identify their challenges, their barriers, like what is getting in their way and how can we overcome it. So that's what we do. We do workshops every single week for young people between the age of 8 and 12. And then we work with teenagers. And also we've got the Womanhood Academy as well. And it's about creating healthy relationships between boys and girls. You'll be amazed at what happens out there. And only you guys, the young people from 100 Black Men of London, being ambassadors, and all the other young people listening and the adults that are supporting them, one thing we have to do, we have to better prepare our future so they can transform it. And you guys can give keys to your mum because you bought her a new house, you know? So that's what we're working towards.
Thank you.
It's okay, man.
Yeah, has Real Talk Mentors answered the question?
Not yet. Oh, I believe you're on mute, sir. Yeah, I think I'm still on mute. Hello.
Oh yeah, I'm back now. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think his mic's working.
Okay, you can hear me though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I think we'll come back to him if his mic starts working again, but I'm going to move on now to my question now. So hopefully, again, Real Talk Mentors can come in and answer this as well. But Davis, you mentioned that you take your young people to Africa, in particular Gambia. I'm actually from Gambia, so I felt that because we don't usually get the love. You get what I'm saying? Gambians don't usually get the love that we deserve. But why do you think it's so important to take Black people to the motherland, which are our roots? And a lot of people that I'm Caribbean and African, and a lot of Caribbean people try to say I'm not African, but they don't know the fact that we were from Africa. So why do you think it's so important that we take our young people to Africa?
It's so important. Why? Because the whole of humanity is from there, you know, for starters. So why wouldn't we want to take our young people? Like that should be the real question. Why wouldn't? Like they should. Not only when they're there, the first thing is we have to start identifying that this environment that we're in right now is toxic. Like living in London, it's mad. Like some of the things that I see, I'm like, yo, it's damaging, you know, psychologically. Whether you're talking about certain fashion, certain trends, whether we're talking about certain behaviors, certain political moves, that whatever it is mad. And there's no sunshine as well. And the people are miserable. And the food is like, is it really food? Like, there's so many negatives, you know what I'm saying? And this sense of privilege in terms of, oh, I'm from London, so I don't need to do certain. But when you go to certain places like Gambia now, it's like you got young inventors, you know, they don't have much. They might be living so-called poverty, but the vision that they have in their mind is phenomenal. And I'm a man of vision. I love people when they say, yo, I love it when I speak to a young person. I say, yeah, what do you want to be? Yeah, I want to be rich. What does that look like? What is that like? Paint me the picture. Invite me into your world. They get stuck. When I do this in Gambia, boom, they're telling you straight what they can see. And that is something that young people over here in London need to be around. They need to be able to identify that these young Gambians, don't matter where they're from, but we're using Gambia as that point of reference now. These young Gambians are, in fact, our brothers, first and foremost. So just because they're on a different landmass, don't look at them as separate, you know? And also, let's have that inter-country conversation. Have a conversation with them, because now you've got that exchange. You learn, you exchange, and so on and so forth. But also, we get to take these young people out of this environment, this concrete jungle. We have to take them out so they can see the world. The world is beautiful. I travel a lot. This world is, you know, when people say, like, this world is bad, are you mad? This world is beautiful. The people might be mad, but this world is absolutely amazing. And this is why we want to take young people across the world, just so they can see how beautiful it is. And it belongs to them, because we're the landlords, you know? So that's one of the reasons. And the last thing as well, I'll speak for myself. I know that when I'm in my house, right, that's my castle, innit? Like, I know where everything is. I'm very comfortable. I'm very self-assured. Like, confidence is on point. But when I go to someone else's house now, I'm a bit insecure. Like, I don't know where the toilet is. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, can I fart here? You know, it's so many things going on in someone else's home because it's a different terrain. So there's power in taking someone from one place and bringing them into a different environment, because now they begin to learn different parts of their character. So when we took a group of young boys to the Gambia, they were literally, it was a different environment, you know? Some of them were wearing hoods in the Gambia. Like, yo, like, you're in the sun, you don't need to wear hood. But we have to take their mindset out of this UK way of thinking and, yeah, allow other countries and influences and cultures to empower, you know, to empower the way of thinking. So important. You know, there's so much more to, like, London, you know what I mean? Postcodes. Big world out there, man.
Yeah, so true. Even I think sometimes even just coming out of their state. I know you spoke about coming out of your country as well, but even showing young people what there actually is outside the world. Because I know for me, when I was exposed to what there is going to other countries, I know it literally allowed me to go through a paradigm shift and allowed me to even want more for myself. So thank you so much for that. It's amazing what you're really doing in our community, and even providing even to show them what it is in Gambia as well. But one of the questions that I actually wanted to ask you was, what are actually some of the challenges that you've kind of come across since you've been doing work with young people? What are some of the things that you've seen that your young people go through?
What I see a lot of young people. The best way I can describe it, you know, Lion King, yeah, the cartoon, right? So you know when Mufasa died, yeah, and then Scar said to Simba, like, run away, like, go, and then Simba runs away, and he gets found by, like, two idiots, you know, like Timon and Pumbaa, you know. So remember, his dad died. At that point, he is the king, yeah. So Simba's the king, but he's hanging around with a warthog and some next little furry animal. You know, they've got him eating bugs. They got him filing his nails. They got him acting like non-lion, like there's some next animal like them. And that's the biggest problem that I see. I work with amazing young champions, like young leaders, like, wow, but they're acting like you're not supposed to be doing this. Like, you're bigger than, you know what I'm saying? So young people get lost. They get lost. They are born with amazing potential. Their parents or the community says, "Oh, you're amazing. You're smart. You're this. You're that." And then you might turn on a certain TV channel, and they're giving you a different option now. Like, yo, you can be a fool. Just pull your trousers down, or you don't need to read books. You can make money today, and you can get grills and talk like this, and like it. All of that, you know. So it's a battle of attention. Like, where are these young people's attention? Is it over there, or is it over there? And my job is to make sure that their attention stays so on their potential, their future. What is it that they want? Not what the industry or the corporation or certain businesses want. Because I do believe it's like a chess game, you know what I mean? And too many young people is like the pawn. A lot of young people don't even know that they're on the chessboard, you know what I mean? So it's about making them aware of all of these things.
Exactly. This is the thing. Life is a game. It's generally a game, and it is a game of chess because we have to be so strategic in this game of life. And I want to ask you, actually, there's so many questions I have for you, but first I want to ask you is, a lot of people say all the time, what people would you choose to have dinner with, what, dead or alive, right? But I want to ask you, what 3 Black people from any time in history would you say you'd love to have a dinner with, dead or alive?
All right, the first person straight away will be Denzel Washington, 100%. Denzel Washington. I would love to sit with him and just to get that wisdom, because he's got mad wisdom, you know. So that would be the first person. The second person would be Beyonce. Why? Because she's a leader in her own right. You know, a lot of people give her stick because of some of the things that she does, but I love her work ethic. I love how creative she is, you know, and I think creativity is a beautiful thing. Like, you can put like hidden messages in your songs and you're only communicating to certain people. And so she has that potential. So I would love to learn that skill from her. You know what I'm saying? And also I just think her music is dope as well. And the third person would be my great granddad. Why? Because I don't know him. I have no idea who he is, but a part of my missing link as an individual and my ancestry, I would love to learn more about my history in terms of not the Malcolm X or the Marcus Garvey, but who is my family, if that makes sense. You know, like my family from the Caribbean. Not even my mum knows who her granddad is and where they came from. You know what I mean? So there's a big blank. So I would definitely love to, go back into my genetic gene pool and to find out, like, what's going on in my family? Like, teach me, you know what I'm saying? Am I on path? You know, do I need to do something different? So on and so forth. So there will be the 3 people.
Yeah. And one of the questions I was going to ask is that, how do you actually, I know you've spoken about some of your past and what you've kind of gone through before, and how is it that you're actually able to now, from changing your life around and really making a major change now, how is it that you're actually now able to inspire and tell other young people, like, look, I've gone through this route, you don't have to do that? Because one thing I have learned is that a lot of people, instead of doing what you say, they do what they see, kind of thing. So how is it now that you're actually able to be a change and really able to impact the young people that you're working with?
You know, I think you just have to be in love with what you're doing, you know. Like, when I do what I do, I don't even think about young people. I think about myself. I'm being honest. It's like, I love what I do so much, and young people just there. You know what I mean? Like, they're just a part of that journey. Like, they understand what I'm talking about. Some adults might not understand it or whatever, you know. So I do the things that make me happy. I do the things that make me fulfilled. I do what's in my mind in terms of the vision that I have. I do what makes me feel awesome, like a superhero, and I want to be around other individuals who also have that. So when we talk about like young people, you know, that some people say like they're a youth worker, like that's not what I do. I just love learning from young people and they learn from me. So it's a relationship, if that makes sense. So the same way you guys have got questions, I've got a bag of questions for you. I might not ask today, but the questions is for me to learn as well, because we're all in this together. Like, you see things a certain way and I see things a certain way. And through that dialogue, we learn and we grow, if that makes sense. And one thing that I noticed with a lot of adults, we love to like answer these, like the power dynamic, innit? They get the young people to answer questions. But really, I feel that you guys are the one in the driving seat. You are the leaders, you know. So I welcome these questions, but also we've got a lot to learn from you guys, because you lot are the ones that's going to change the game, you know. And you lot should be asking us, what can we offer you? What can we do to help you create that vision, if that makes sense? So these are the kind of questions that and the conversations that I have with the young people around me. So yes, sometimes it's more of a lectured kind of type, but also it's about having those organic conversations, real conversations in terms of how can we improve our situation.
Exactly. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And thank you, Davis, for coming on. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And yeah, so thank you for coming down. If Amani Simpson is here, another legend, because we've had nothing but legends on this call so far. If he's here, please, we'd like to invite him up. And Davis, thank you. I'm going to be in contact. I got more questions for you, as I said, so I'm going to be in contact.
No problem, my brother. Thank you so much, and keep up the great work, yeah?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Cool, cool, cool. Hello, Amani.
What's going on, guys?
I'm doing what you do. How you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Happy Sunday and that.
Yeah, happy Sunday, bro. Happy Sunday. So, first things first, could you explain who you are and how you help the community?
Yeah. So my name's Amani Simpson. Fundamentally, I'm a child of God. I'm a human being. I'm here. You know, I'm just trying to play my position on the earth. I'm a creative. I'm a youth coach. And under my creative banner, I'm a filmmaker and creative director. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So loads of titles.
Yeah. How does that help the community?
I guess for me, it's just using my skills to serve. You know, I think there's a number of things that I've been blessed with, whether that be entrepreneurial skills, creativity, vision, and yeah, just using it to serve, trying to get into places where I can listen and bridge gaps, and you know, when I'm in certain rooms, try and make sure that there's young people there to represent and speak for themselves, or when that's not possible, speaking on behalf of young people or on behalf of the community. So yeah.
Thank you. And Amani, I know you mentioned about bridging the gap and actually bringing young people to introducing them to other opportunities. And how have you actually managed to get there? Because I know a lot of young people would actually look up to you as someone who's actually done a lot of things, especially in the media, and portraying a new narrative. Like, how is it now that when you're at where you've got to where you are so far, how are you now able to bridge that gap?
I think it's a really good question. I think fundamentally because I haven't forgotten where I came from. I haven't forgotten kind of being on my face, being on my knees, and not really having some of the blessings that I've got now. And I pray that I never lose that. I pray I always stay grounded and humble, because it's all in good kind of gaining the world and all the opportunities. But if you forget where you came from, what was the point? So yeah, there's quite a few projects I've worked on. I created a short film about my life called Amani, which had quite a lot of young people in it, and spoke to young people directly. I've done projects with the Mayor of London's office called You've Got This, which is a motivational video campaign. I did a social media campaign called Our Lockdown, which again is all about kind of giving young people voices during lockdown and positively framing how lockdown has affected them. So, you know, how they're feeling about, you know, after lockdown, things they've learned about themselves. And yeah, I guess I just try to listen. You know, I get different signs from my creator and different kind of downloads and stuff. And so when those things come, I just kind of get into position and just, you know, use the hands and the skills that I've been given, basically.
Amazing. And from what I'm hearing, a lot of the stuff that you do is youth-led, and a lot of organizations aren't really youth-led. They're for young people, but they're not youth-led. So they're kind of like, you guys just sit there and be quiet. We're going to get stuff ready for you and we're going to give it to you. But we all know that they may not be giving young people what they truly desire. Therefore, they won't actually value it and make the most out of it, which is why a lot of people then say, young people don't care, young people this, young people that. And I'd like to ask you, why is it so important for initiatives for young people to be youth-led?
Because I think fundamentally, young people have got voices. Like, why are we talking for them? like, look at you guys. You guys are young. You're younger than myself, and I'm sitting here. I've been watching for a little while, and you guys are holding your own. You're presenting, and that's not to patronize you guys. You know, you're sure of what it is that you want to say, and with maybe a little bit of framing around the event and stuff to help you to kind of have the platform. You can run it, and I think that that's the position of adults and those that are in positions of leadership, is just to open the door and let the next generation, as it were, come through and just do what they need to do. And there's a word that I remember hearing last year called adultism, which is where adults basically act on behalf of young people and almost take away their agency. And I think that we do that a lot. And what we forget is that adults are just kind of deteriorated or older children, right? So what makes us know any better than you guys? In fact, if anything, you guys are more pure than us, because you know, so it's about kind of getting that balance. If we've got experience and platform, give it to young people that have got vitality and fresh ideas and stuff. And I think that's a winning partnership.
Thank you. And one of the things I wanted to ask you is, like, what is some of the difficulties and challenges that you've actually been able to kind of see young people that you're working with go through, and how you're actually able to overcome it, and yeah, kind of push through that kind of thing?
Yeah, that's I would say that the biggest one that I see is that internal narrative. So similar to what Davis was saying before, big up Davis as well. There's a lot of young people that are given a lot of affirmation at the beginning of their life, and then as they get older, they start to listen to other people. They start to kind of have that self-doubt, and they listen to other external factors that are just not necessarily there to kind of empower them, right? So I think that's the biggest issue that I see is the words that young people say about themselves, and things like, you know, like even just like, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of drill music, but I understand it's got, you know, part of the culture. But just even some of the soundtracks that I think young people are listening to now, and some of the narratives that they're buying into about themselves and about the limitations that they put on themselves and other people put on them, I think that stuff is self-fulfilling prophecies. So I think that internal narrative, that internal soundtrack is quite destructive. And we've actually got a really, really big task ahead of us to try and kind of switch the frequency on the radio and give young people another thing to listen to, and, you know, listen to their voices, basically, their real voices, authentic voices.
Yeah, that's very true, Amani. That's very true, Amani. And just taking it in this discussion in another direction, I wanted to ask, do public figures have a duty to represent us? And do we expect too much from Black people in power? And do we actually need to support them more?
Oh, that's a great question. It's funny enough, I've been having some conversations about that recently, so that's quite a timely question. I think there is a level of representation that you have if you're in a public figure, because there's not always many of us. So sometimes you become the poster child, you become the kind of the person that everyone pins hope to or representation to, which isn't necessarily fair for those people. Because when I think of people that are sports stars or athletes, or the only kind of Black person in their organization, why should they carry the weight of the rest of the community based on, you know, they're humans, right? So they might slip up one day, and then if you're going to kind of judge that person based on their humanity, that's not really fair to kind of tarnish a whole community or a whole kind of demographic with one brush. So I think when it comes to us as a community, we should expect a good and fair amount from people that are in positions of, you know, public office or leadership. But at the same time, I think we almost have to kind of look at it from, would we want to have that much pressure on our shoulders, and should we be as kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I think sometimes we can really judge people without really seeing the full picture, especially like on social media. You see all these like comments, people cussing people for someone like tweeting something X amount of years ago when they were 10. And I think that's not fair. And then I think finally, that final point you said about should we do more to support them? I definitely think so. I think that a lot of the time, unfortunately, there's a lot of toxic conversations that happen within our community. And I don't think that that's helpful. And I think that a lot of those conversations, if they were a little bit more encouraging, a little bit more, let's sit down and reason with this person in private rather than tearing them down in public, I think that we would thrive a lot better as a community, in my opinion. Yeah.
Thank you. And the last question that we wanted to ask was that how do we actually go about empowering and impacting other young people to actually go into positions of power, so that we're joined with forces like yourself and other great influences actually, and able to actually make an impact in our community?
So how do we empower them more? Like, so let me just get the question right. So how do you empower people that are in positions of power to
people that are not yet in positions of power, but aspiring young leaders that actually do want to make a change? How do we actually go about bringing them into not necessarily the limelight just yet, but how do we actually start to do that so that we can take some of the pressure off your back?
That threw me off. This is a community. This is a team sport, right? So, you know, there's people that I haven't been in the game that long. I know sometimes people think I've been there for ages, but I've only been there like doing what I do for a couple of years. Prior to that, I was an estate agent and running my own business. So people have given me time. They've given me an hour. They've linked me at an event. They've answered one of my questions, hit me up on WhatsApp, whatever the case may be, shared information. I think that's how we do it. We just I always love to pay things forward. So people have given me time or contacts or networks or whatever. And it's up to me when I'm in that position to do the same thing, and not just to pull up the ladder and be like, yeah, I've made it. Yeah, cool. I'm good. Me and my family is set. It's important that when you are in a position, you pay it forward. One of my sayings is learn, earn, return. So I preach about that all the time. I'm always saying that: learn, earn, return. When you get into a position where you can do something, return, give back the ladder, you know, give some game, whatever it is, just to help someone else on the journey. I think that's important to empower those coming after us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, and big up yourselves as well, Adam, Jonas. Obviously, we spent time this week. But yeah, big up yourself. This is sick, and big up 100 Black Men of London. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Cool. So Amulet's now going to come on and round up. And guys, well done. Thank you for everybody that's watched already. And that's the last you're going to hear of me and Adam. What you got to say before we go, Adam?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for so far watching, and just to remind you guys that the 100 Black Men of London, we're working towards actually purchasing our first building, so that if you guys really do want to see more young people impacted, then please feel free to donate to our GoFundMe page as well, and just continue to just be in tune with not just our charity but all the charities that came on as well, because we do want to change the Black narrative. And yeah, just remember that what they see is what they'll be. So yeah, continue to do what you're doing. Thank you.
Peace.
So I just wanted to say thank you so much to all of the organizations that joined us. The Amos Bursary, Young Black Teachers Connect, the Young Black Teachers Network, Black Teachers Connect, Still Warriors, Mentivity, Real Talk Mentors, Manhood. It's been an amazing event, and it's been so enlightening and encouraging to see the various elements of our community and how each of those organizations have such passion for the people that they work with. Thank you to our co-hosts, my co-hosts Vanessa, Jonas and Adam especially. You guys have worked so hard to put this event together, and thank you to our audience just for being here and listening and giving us the opportunity to engage with you, and also for engaging with us throughout the process through your questions. Yeah, it's been amazing. So thank you guys for joining us today with 100 Black Men of London. And please, if you have any resources or help you think you can provide to us as an organisation as well, please do look out for us. And if there's any organisations you think we could work with as well, do let us know. And joining our Build Our Community campaign as well. So thank you guys. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and have a good evening.